Hello, everyone, and welcome to Outstanding English. My name is Todd Elprovitz. This is part two of our lesson about work and business related phrasal verbs. I've changed a little bit in how I'm going to present the information. Usually, I present all the vocabulary first, and then I introduce a dialogue, and then I go over some comprehension questions about the dialogue. But for this, I've divided the phrasal verbs into four different sections. I got phrasal verbs about team collaboration, phrasal verbs about dealing with challenges in the workplace, phrasal verbs about career advancement, and phrasal verbs about negotiations. For each section, we'll go over a dialogue first, and I'll use the sentences in that dialogue that contain phrasal verbs to introduce each of the phrasal verbs for today's lesson. Then I'll retell the dialogue and ask comprehension questions to see if you understand the meaning of that dialogue. And if it's a little too challenging, then feel free to review sections that you had trouble with after our live stream today. So just a reminder, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask it in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, you can ask it as a comment for this video. So first up, we're going to go over dialogue and some phrasal verbs about team collaboration. So our first dialogue goes like this. We got two people in here. It says, "Hey, Mary, I heard there's a new project coming up. Maybe we should team up on it." "Absolutely, Bob. I think it's a great idea to pull together our strengths. We can achieve more if we work as a team." "Agreed. I was thinking we could hand over the initial research to the marketing team. They're experts in analyzing market trends." "That's a good plan. We can also chip in with our own insights during the team meeting. It's important to have a collaborative approach." "Definitely. Let's iron out any potential issues during our brainstorming session. We need to make sure everyone is on the same page." "Absolutely." So here is the first of our phrasal verbs in this little dialogue. One of the characters said, "Hey, Mary, I heard there's a new project coming up." And the phrasal verb come up isn't necessarily about work and business, but it was in the dialogue, so I'll go over it anyway. The definition we used in this sentence was to be happening soon. So the new project is coming up. We could also say spring is coming up. Well, at least in the northern hemisphere. And some other definitions of the phrasal verb coming up that are very useful is to be mentioned in a conversation. So maybe you're talking to someone and you said, "Oh, by the way, your name came up when I was talking to our boss." Come up can also mean to move towards someone. So you could say, "I was waiting at the bus and someone came up to me." And it can also be used to mean to happen, usually unexpectedly. So we say this useful expression, "something has come up," if you want to give an excuse for not joining a particular activity, but you don't really want to get into details about it. You just say something's come up or something has come up. So the next phrasal verb in this dialogue was team up. And they used it as maybe we should team up on it. And team up means to join with someone to work together. And our next one was pull together, which means to cooperate in a task. The sentence they said was, "I think it's a great idea to pull together our strengths." We don't even need our strengths on this sentence. We could just say, "I think it's a great idea to pull together." And another useful definition of this phrase verb is when we put oneself in the middle, such as yourself or herself or his self. And that is to pull oneself together. And it means to become calm after being angry or upset. So maybe you're watching a movie and one of the characters is crying loudly or shouting, very emotional. One of the other characters might say, "Come on, pull yourself together," which means to become calm after being angry or upset. And the next phrasal verb from this dialogue was hand over. And the way they use it, they say, "I was thinking we could hand over the initial research to the marketing team." And to hand something over means to pass responsibility to someone else. So now this person who's speaking is not going to do the research. They're going to hand it over to the marketing team. So now it is their responsibility. And we can also use handover to mean to give something to someone, such as I parked the car in front of the house and then I handed the keys over to my wife so she could drive somewhere. Our next phrasal verb here is to chip in, and this means to interrupt a conversation in order to say something. So the example they used was, we can also chip in with our own insights during the team meeting. So chip in is to just give your thoughts during a meeting. So you might say, I had a lot on my mind while I was sitting through the meeting, but I didn't chip in at all. Means I didn't give my thoughts during the meeting. And chip in, another useful definition of chip in is to give some money when several people are giving money to pay for something together. So let's say that in your workplace, someone is retiring soon and they've been at this workplace for several years. Maybe everyone wants to get him or her a gift. So instead of everyone buying a small gift, they want to chip in and buy a big gift for him or her. So they may ask everyone to chip in $20 or chip in $50 so they can buy a really nice present for this person to thank them for their years of service. That's a really useful one. And then over here, our next one is to iron out. And they use it here to say, let's iron out any potential issues during our brainstorming session. And iron out means to remove problems or find solutions. So maybe if your clothes have wrinkles in them, you need to use an iron and iron out the wrinkles to make it flat or smooth. So we iron out problems, we iron out issues that come up. And when we do this, we remove problems and we find solutions. So that was the last of the phrasal verbs for the team collaboration section. So I'm going to reread this dialogue to you. I want you to pay close attention and try to understand the meaning of it. And then I have some comprehension questions to ask. It says, "Hey, Mary, I heard there's a new project coming up. Maybe we should team up on it." "Absolutely, Bob. I think it's a great idea to pull together our strengths. We can achieve more if we work as a team." "Agreed. I was thinking we could hand over the initial research to the marketing team. They're experts in analyzing market trends." "That's a good plan. We can also chip in with our own insights during the team meeting. It's important to have a collaborative approach." "Definitely. Let's iron out any potential issues during our brainstorming session. We need to make sure everyone is on the same page." "Absolutely." So here's 3 comprehension questions about this dialogue. If you miss one or don't fully understand, then you can rewatch this dialogue, listen one more time, and see if you can get all these answers. So the first one was, how does Mary respond to Bob's suggestion of teaming up on the new project? The next question says, why does Bob suggest handing over the initial research to the marketing team? And my final question is, what does Bob mean by when ironing out potential issues during the brainstorming session? So when he says iron out potential issues, what does he mean by that? So if you got all 3, great. If not, have a little review when we're all done. So my second out of our 4 sections is about phrasal verbs that we use in this dialogue about dealing with challenges in the workplace. So here's our little dialogue here. It starts off, "Hey Sandra, have you had a chance to work around the issue we encountered with the new software?" "Yeah, I've been trying to figure it out, but there's definitely a steep learning curve. Let me know if you need any help. I've had to sort through similar challenges before." "Thanks, Rob. It's just frustrating sometimes, but I appreciate your support. How do you usually bounce back when you face unexpected hurdles?" "Well, it's all about staying positive and focusing on solutions. I find that taking a break to clear my head helps. Want to grab a coffee and then try dealing with this problem in the afternoon? Sounds great." So, our first phrasal verb in this dialogue was work around, and this means to find a way to overcome or avoid a difficulty or a problem. And the sentence they use is, "Hey, Sandra, have you had a chance to work around the issue we encountered with the new software?" Which just means, have you found a solution to the issue we have with the new software? And we can use workaround also as a noun, and we use it that way to mean to have a temporary solution before a permanent solution can be made or a permanent solution can be found. So, for example, if you want to move your desk to the other side of the office, but there's no electrical outlet, well, one workaround would be to lay an extension cord across the floor and tape it down until an electrician can add another outlet. That's an example of a workaround. It's a temporary solution, but until a permanent solution can be found, that's what you're going to do. Is you're just going to have this electrical extension cord across the floor and held down with tape until an electrician can add an outlet to the other side of the office. So the next phrasal verb that was in this dialogue was figure out. And as you can see, this is separable. We can put an object in the middle. It says, yeah, I've been trying to figure it out, but there's definitely a steep learning curve. To figure out means to find the solution to a problem after a lot of thought. So also in the sentence, it says a steep learning curve. And what this phrase means is that something is difficult to learn how to use or learn how to do. So if you're ever looking at getting new software for your computer, like editing software, you can read reports of people's reviews and see if it has a steep learning curve or not. And what that means is that it takes a long time to master how to use it. So when we figure something out, we give it a lot of thought, and then we find a solution to that problem. The next phrasal verb in this dialogue is to sort through something. And in the sentence, they say, I've had to sort through similar challenges before. And sort through is to carefully examine and make sense of various items or issues. So, like when we have a lot of data that we're doing research for, we have to sort through all the data and make sense of it. And sort through can also mean to look for something among a lot of similar things. So, for example, let's say you have a bunch of coins and you take time to sort through them all to find any rare ones. Maybe there's some that have been misprinted. Maybe there's some that are from, several years ago and are now worth a lot of money. So you sort through them all. And the next phrasal verb in this dialogue is to bounce back. And the example they say is, how do you usually bounce back when you face unexpected hurdles? And bounce back means to start to be successful or happy again after a difficult period. And we can also use this to talk about becoming healthy again after being sick or being injured. So we could say that maybe you were really sick with the flu and it took you 2 weeks to bounce back. It means it took you 2 weeks to finally feel normal again. So I'm going to go over this dialogue again, and then I'll ask comprehension questions so you can check your understanding of the meaning. It says, hey, Sandra, have you had a chance to work around the issue we encountered with the new software? Yeah, I've been trying to figure it out, but there's definitely a steep learning curve. Let me know if you need any help. I've had to sort through similar challenges before. Thanks, Rob. It's just frustrating sometimes, but I appreciate your support. How do you usually bounce back when you face unexpected hurdles? Well, it's all about staying positive and focusing on solutions. I find that taking a break to clear my head helps. Want to grab a coffee and then try dealing with this problem in the afternoon? Sounds great. So here are some questions to check for your understanding. It says, what is the main issue Rob and Sandra are discussing in the dialogue? How does Sandra describe her experience with the new software? How does Rob suggest dealing with unexpected hurdles or challenges? And what can you infer about the relationship between Rob and Sandra based on their conversation? So often when you're doing work in an English classroom, the teacher might say, or the book might say, what can you infer? Or what do you infer? And infer means you read something or you listen to something and they don't say something, but you can guess that that is true. So for example, if you don't have any windows in your office and somebody comes in late and they are soaking wet, you can infer that it's raining outside and they didn't have an umbrella. They didn't need to tell you it's raining. They didn't need to tell you they forgot their umbrella, but you can infer that they didn't have an umbrella and it's raining outside. That's what infer means. So our next section, this is the third of fourth sections. This is about career advancement, phrasal verbs, and use. So I'll start off with the dialogue so you can get some exposure to them, and then we'll go over each one. It says, Stephen, I've got some exciting news to share. I've been offered a promotion. Wanda, that's fantastic. Congratulations. Are you going to move up to a higher position? Yes, I'll be taking on more responsibilities and leading a team of 6 in the company's new social media department. That's incredible, Wanda. I'm happy for you. Do you have to step down from your current positions to take on this new role? Yeah, but I'm ready to carve out a niche in this new area. Besides, I'm sure they can find a replacement for my current position. Impressive. I've been thinking about branching out into new areas myself. Any advice on how you prepared for this promotion? It involved a lot of hard work. I made an effort to develop my skills and showcase my abilities. I'm inspired by your success. So our first phrasal verb here, very useful one, is to move up. And this means to get a more important job in a company or an organization. We use phrases like move up the company ladder or move up the corporate ladder. It means every few years or every few months, if you're doing well, you get a better and better position. And as a result, better and better pay. So the sentence they said was, are you going to move up to a higher position? And our next phrasal verb they used was to take on. And this means to accept a particular job or responsibility. So Wanda said, I'll be taking on more responsibilities, means she's going to have more responsibilities, and leading a team of 6 in the company's new social media department. And another definition of take on is to compete against or fight someone. So an example using this would be this Sunday, the Lions are taking on the San Francisco 49ers. That's an American football game. Sorry about that. I'm sure most of my viewers don't watch American football. And here we go. Our next one is to step down. And this means to withdraw or resign or retire from an important position or office. So when I say important position, that could be like, manager or global sales leader. And office would be like a political office, vice president, prime minister. People ask them to step down if they do something bad. So it says, do you have to step down from your current position to take on this new role? So he's asking, are you still going to be doing what you were doing and doing this? Or are you going to stop doing that so that you can be the leader of this new social media department there? And our next one is carve out. And it means to establish a career, role, or reputation for yourself through hard work. So we hear people talk about they carved out a successful career, and they did this by working hard. Maybe they were unlikely to have this successful career, but they managed to through hard work, so they carved out a successful career. And in this sentence, they say, yeah, but I'm ready to carve out a niche in this new area. We can say niche or niche. I think I combined the two different pronunciations when I was speaking there, but this is carve out a niche or carve out a niche. And a niche is a very specialized skill or a specialized job. So you become really good at one thing so that you're like the only person who can do it in that company. And another example of carve out is to take something from a larger whole, especially with effort or difficulty. So sometimes if you're reading the business section of the newspaper, they might say that a company is trying to carve out a larger share of the market, means they're trying to outcompete their competitors so that they have more market share than they did previously. All right, and next one from here is we have to branch out. And this means to extend or expand one's activities or interests in a new direction. So the example they said was, I've been thinking about branching out into new areas myself. So branch out could just be you are finding new things to be interested in. So maybe you love baking, you always bake cookies, but now you're branching out and you're baking cakes too. And so I'll reread this dialogue, so pay close attention so you understand the meeting, and then I'll ask some questions about it. It says, Stephen, I've got some exciting news to share. I've been offered a promotion. Wanda, that's fantastic. Congratulations. Are you going to move up to a higher position? Yes, I'll be taking on more responsibilities and leading a team of 6 in the company's new social media department. That's incredible, Wanda. I'm happy for you. Do you have to step down from your current position to take on this new role? Yeah, but I'm ready to carve out a niche in this new area. Besides, I'm sure they can find a replacement for my current position. Impressive. I've been thinking about branching out into new areas myself. Any advice on how you prepared for this promotion? It involved a lot of hard work. I made an effort to develop my skills and showcase my abilities. I'm inspired by your success. So here's 4 questions about this dialogue. How does Stephen react to Wanda's news? Sometimes people tell you they got a promotion and you feel really good about them. Sometimes maybe you might be jealous. What is Wanda's new role in the company? How did Wanda prepare for her promotion? And how does Stephen feel about Wanda's success? So we have one more section today, and this is about phrasal verbs in use, about negotiations. So I'm going to start again with a dialogue, and then we'll go over the phrasal verbs from that dialogue. It says, Howard, we need to talk over the details of the upcoming negotiations with our potential client. Absolutely, Jenna. I think it's crucial to nail down the key points before the meeting. What should we focus on? Well, I've been holding out for a better deal on the pricing, but we also need to consider the delivery timeline. Let's discuss both and see if we can find a compromise. I agree. We don't want to give in too easily, but at the same time, we need to be flexible to secure the contract. How about we draw up a contract outline with the proposed terms and review it together? Sounds like a plan. Once we have the draft, we can present it to the client and see if they have any concerns. If everything looks good, we can sign off on the final agreement. All right, so our first phrasal verb in this dialogue was to talk over. And they said, Howard, we need to talk over the details of the upcoming negotiations with our potential client. And this means to discuss something thoroughly, right? To talk over something. And an additional definition that I didn't write here is to talk at the same time another person is talking. So maybe you encountered this if you had like an online Zoom meet, is one person is talking and another person interrupts and starts talking, and they kind of wait for the other person to stop talking, but they don't. So they just try to talk over one another for the next several seconds or even minutes. I hope that never happened in any meetings you were in online. And the next special phrase verb here we have is to nail down. They said, I think it's crucial to nail down the key points before the meeting. And to nail down means to decide or agree on the details. So it's crucial to agree on the key points before the meeting. It's crucial to decide the key points before the meeting. And another definition of nail down is to fasten something securely with nails. So we nail down the board along the floor. And our next special one is hold out. They said, well, we've been holding out for a better deal on the pricing, but we need to consider the delivery timeline. And the definition they use is to resist or wait for a better offer or agreement. They are holding out for a better deal. They don't want to look too eager, So they're waiting. Maybe they're pretending they're not too interested, hoping that the person will give them a better deal. They're holding out. And another definition of holdout, which is very useful, is to continue to defend yourself against an enemy or attack without being defeated. So defend yourself against an enemy or defend yourself against an attack without being defeated. So we could talk about saying the rebels are holding out in the city's abandoned industrial zone. Means the army that's trying to get them out of there is not being successful because they are holding out well. And our next phrasal verb they use is to give in. The example they say is we don't want to give in too easily, but at the same time, we need to be flexible to secure the contract. And to give in means to finally agree to what someone wants after refusing for a period of time. So maybe if you're a parent and maybe your son or daughter says that they want to stay up late and you just keep saying, no, 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 you have to go to bed, you have to go to bed. Finally, you give and say, okay, you can stay up for another 15 minutes. And next up, we had the phrasal verb draw up. They said, how about we drop a contract outline with the proposed terms and review it together? So drop is to prepare something in writing, especially plans or a formal document. So they drop a contract, they drop a contract outline, they drop a proposal. It's not drawing like artwork, it's to prepare something in writing, like a formal document, like a contract or a proposal. And next up, we have our first and only three-word phrasal verb tonight. Well, my tonight, maybe your morning. It says, if everything looks good, we can sign off on the final agreement. And to sign off on something means to give one's approval to something. So, for example, if you tell your supervisor, hey, I'm not coming in tomorrow, and they say, oh, did you already ask our boss? And you could say, oh, yeah, she signed off on it this morning. Means she gave her approval for it this morning. So I'm going to repeat this dialogue. Pay close attention and try to answer the questions at the end. It says, Howard, we need to talk over the details of the upcoming negotiations with our potential client. Absolutely, Jenna. I think it's crucial to nail down the key points before the meeting. What should we focus on? Well, we've been holding out for a better deal on the pricing, but we also need to consider the delivery timeline. Let's discuss both and see if we can find a compromise. I agree. We don't want to give in too easily, but at the same time, we need to be flexible to secure the contract. How about we drop a contract outline with the proposed terms and review it together? Sounds like a plan. Once we have the draft, we can present it to the client and see if they have any concerns. If everything looks good, we can sign off on the final agreement. So I have three questions for this one. What is the main topic of discussion between Jenna and Howard in the dialogue? What are the two main aspects Jenna suggests they focus on during the negotiations? And who will present the dialogue to the client? All right, so actually, this will not be next week. I'll be out of town next week. And then we have a holiday coming up. So this is a to be determined live lesson when I will hold this. The next one's going to be about money-related idioms and money-related phrasal verbs. So check out the community tab of my YouTube page, and you'll get an update on when I schedule that. And also, if you haven't already, you can sign up for the Speak Outstanding English newsletter and get a free copy of the Top 50 Most Useful Idioms PDF workbook. I got a link for that in the description, so check it out. It's something I made a while ago, but didn't have the mailing list platform set up to send it out to people. So thanks everyone for joining today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in the future. Goodbye, everybody.